Let's go. Let's do this thing. Let's go. We're going to have such a fun live stream. Congrats to the LSU basketball team, but obviously we are here to talk about LSU football. The first thing right off the bat, well, we still don't have an offensive and defensive coordinator, but we do have Kerry Cooks. And obviously this week we saw Corey Raymond and Kev Falk go their separate ways. Obviously, Corey has already got another job. I hope Kev Falk is able to stay around. Also, of course, we're going to get to as many of your questions as we possibly can. I'm feeling really good about tonight. I really am. And I always feel really good about live streams. But I do want to show you this. Boom! Look at that fancy, smanchy little cool. Let me know what you guys think about this right here at the bottom. How cool is that? Huh? I don't even know if you guys can see that. Look, that is kind of cool. Little ticker at the bottom. I feel like, you just grew up with ESPN with that little ticker at the bottom. What's up, Big Al? What's up, LJ? LJ with the new photo tonight. Jared's been in here for a little bit. Max has been in here for a little bit. Reed has been in here a little bit. Chase, what's going on, everybody? How are we doing? So I'm really excited about LSU basketball, but of course, we're here to talk LSU football. So here's what we'll do. About an hour or so, an hour and a half, I'll start talking about LSU basketball, even though I don't know a whole lot. So yeah, thank you so much, Jared, our first super chat of the night. I really do appreciate you, my friend, as always. So yes, and also just an announcement. A lot of you have been asking about the booger bands. I just ordered a lot. Now I will say this, the price everywhere went up, right? So when I get the bands, the prices are going to go up. But what I will tell you is for booger band purchases, I do all the mailing and stuff. And we've also upped the packages with the booger bands. So a lot of booger band orders are going to feature a Joe Burrow card, right? Or a Jarvis Landry card or whatever. For those that have ordered booger bands, you know what all comes in the package, a lot of goodies. So look, let's start off obviously with the defensive coordinator rumors, including Brad White. Okay, so Brad White's kind of been the name today. You know how coaching cycles work, right? You always hear all these different names that come in and come out of a coaching search, right? And a lot of you still want Durante Jones, and I totally get why you do, because the LSU defense was arguably the best defense in the West to close out the year. So let me share some stuff I learned about Brad White today. Obviously, Kentucky's defenses have been mostly good these past couple of seasons, and Brad White's been good over these past 3 years. Now, there is a major asterisk to that as far as Brad White, the Kentucky defensive coordinator, is that his yard per play numbers weren't as good as I thought they would be, right? So this year he's about, I think they're 7th or 8th in yards per play, which isn't bad. And the other years he was about 6 or 7, right? The issue with that is Kentucky plays an easier schedule in the SEC East than what LSU would play in the SEC West. Something else about Brad White as a defensive coordinator is Kentucky annually plays the fewest plays per game every year. Okay? So what that means is Kentucky plays at a far slower pace. If any of you are familiar with Mark Stoops, Mark Stoops is a guy who likes to deflate the football. He likes to slow the game down. Very conservative. And when you have a very conservative coach, that means you're oftentimes going to have better field position as a defensive coordinator because you're going to punt more often. You're not going to be as aggressive on fourth down. And obviously, Kentucky has not turned the football over all that much, except Will Levis has thrown a lot of interceptions. Still, Brad White's defenses are good. They're not spectacular. But then at the same time, outside of his defensive lines, his back sevens just haven't really been all that good. So there's good and bad about Brad White. Obviously, this is a big thing that was a major red flag for me as far as Brad White is concerned. The Mississippi State game wasn't great. Their yard per play numbers weren't bad. But in that game, Will Rogers only incompleted 3 passes. That was Will Rogers' best game, though, at the same time. I mean, he threw some dimes. But the game that was really concerning, and I rewatched a good bit of it today, was the Tennessee game, where Kentucky's defense was way out of sorts. I thought the Mississippi State tape was more Mississippi State just making really spectacular plays. The Tennessee tape was horrid. Also, Kentucky's run fits can just be downright abysmal. I feel like their safeties don't fit the run all that well. They could be a little over aggressive, which can open you up for home runs from the running back, which makes me really excited to say, if you are watching this for the first time since our last live stream on Thursday, we will have our first ever guest on PHL, and that will be none other than our friend Jeremy Hill, who you guys have seen in our chat room quite a bit lately, and it's pretty cool. Like, I've never talked to Jeremy one-on-one, though, which is really interesting. I've been on his radio program a few times, and as many of you know, I'm a big Jay Hill fan. So we'll be giving away, we're going to be giving away a bunch of Jay Hill cards on Thursday, and it should be a lot of fun. We're going to give away a Jay Hill rookie. We're going to give away some Jay Hill LSU stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, right? So we will see you on Thursday, but we're also going to see you tonight, and we'll still have our Tuesday night live stream. So yeah, a lot of you aren't up on Brad White, so we'll see. I would prefer to keep Durante Jones. Brad White would tell you that his secondary doesn't have the best talent, and I would agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I will say he's had some bad games this year, right? The Georgia game they could have been better in that game, to be honest. And honestly, the more I watch Kentucky, the more that game infuriated me, because we lost that game. Because Will Levis stinks. He throws horrible interceptions. If we would have just played some different defenses, we probably win that game. Or if we just play the defense that we have been running, Kentucky is not that good of a team. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. So, yeah. Kyle, I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you. Let's see. Ghastly Gamer, Max, to your super chat. God, Ghastly Gamer's calling you out here, Max. I want a top 10 defensive coordinator, and Brad White is not that. Well, top 10 defensive coordinator, you're asking for a lot. Considering the 2 best just got head coaching jobs in Elko, and, well, the 3 best just got head coaching jobs: Elko to Duke, Lanning to Oregon, and Venables to Oklahoma. So that would leave you with 7 other defensive coordinators to make a move to LSU, when all the other elite defensive coordinators are getting head coaching jobs. You're not going to get whoever the next 7 would be. And look, Brad White might be one of those guys. Kyle, no, appreciate you. Leonard, welcome. Good to see you, Leonard. If this is your first time, or if this is any of you guys' first time, please comment. I want to make first-timers feel welcome. For those, if it just happens to be your first time, understand that this is a fun chat room, right? Brian Kelly can call plays. The defensive coordinator is more important than the offensive coordinator. And I'm glad you brought that up, Leonard, because that's our poll question for tonight, or at least for the early portion. Is it more important for Brian Kelly to get a good offensive coordinator or a good defensive coordinator? Okay. So, yeah. Jax, first time watching live. Good to hear you. Theo, not my first time, just changed my pick. I love that you, just everybody. I'm glad that you guys are changing up your picks. Chris says, long time listener, first time live chatter. Good to hear from you, man. Chris, I need you to change your photo, including you, Whitetail. I have to say, Whitetail was our first commenter on our chat from earlier today. It wasn't our chat when I put the video up. So there you go. Now, this is a great photo. And I believe these are some first timers here. Look at the smiles. Look at Mother Nature in the background. Look at the LSU shirts. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. You guys know I judge you. I judge each and every one of you if you don't have a great photo like Leonard. But you guys, Greg's not in here. As you guys know, Greg has the #1 photo. Master Blaster's up there as well. Cody's up there. Cody's #1 because he's actually wearing a PHL shirt. And I do have some good news. I am meeting with a merch company tomorrow so we can give out more swag. I think we're waiting on Bama's defensive coordinator, Brian and Annie Pinton. Okay. So, yeah, Brian and Annie, welcome. It's good to see you guys. Thank you for the very generous super chat here. And I've got to say, I agree. Let's do this, okay? Let me look at the poll question results. I want to actually make Brian and Annie our poll question here, okay? So offensive coordinator is clearly winning, so we're going to go ahead and end that poll. Hitstick says, I'd say keep Durante. We're looking to Wake's offensive coordinator. Warren, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name because my man Max did not like the fact that I couldn't properly announce an Italian last name. So shout out to you, Max. Let's see. Theo says, I like UGA's defensive coordinator. I would too if he didn't take the Oregon job. But if you're talking about Dan Schumann or Glenn Schumann, I would be very interested. Okay, so this question is for Brian and Annie. Let me do this. Do you believe hire a coordinator that is currently in the CFP? Okay. All right, Brian and Andy, this question is for you. Okay. Cool stuff. This is for you, Brian and Annie. Do you believe LSU is currently waiting for the college football playoff? Do you think one of our coordinators is currently in the college football playoff? I can easily see a few names there, right? And Hitstick, as always, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your super chats. Hitstick has been with me for a while, okay? I just really appreciate you. I'll never forget our day ones. I really won't. DBU7, good to see you back. I don't like your profile because I'm chubby and you're obviously shredded. Don't show off all the time, DBU7. Aaron, checking in from Georgia. Lots of Georgia Tigers, baby. Let's go, Aaron. And you know what, Aaron? You would be the most important LSU Aaron, but you're not. You're the second most important LSU Aaron A. Because I'm still mad, Aaron, that Aaron Anderson is going to Bama, but he could still flip back. I love me some Aaron Anderson. Aaron Adams, since Aaron Anderson flipped to Bama, you are the #1 Aaron A. I want you to know that, Aaron. Welcome to the channel. Okay? Aaron, if you could run a 4.3 and lift the top off of defense, you would be #1. But Aaron Anderson's going to Bama. Really? Could someone in the 504 go to Aaron Anderson and say, look, man, we have no wide receivers committed. The coldest to ever do it is gone. Rye in Canada, good to see you. Carver says, what about my profile? I'm a PhD student. I'm a professor. Carver's not everyone can be showing off all the time like you. Christy, LSU fan, I love it. Good to see you. Don't forget, guys, Thursday, we need everybody in here for Jeremy Hill, man. Jeremy Hill is a PHLer. So it's not just, hey, man, please do this live stream. He's like really fired up to hang out with us. So I'm excited. Jay Hill, you guys watch him every day on 104.5, and he's going to be hanging out with us on Thursday. And, of course, I'm going to ask him about the South Carolina game. Who remembers that South Carolina game in 2012? I get shivers because I was on the field for that game. I'm so excited. So it should be fun. But yeah, back to Hit Stick Super Chat. I think as time moves on, Durante's likelihood of being retained is really high. Now, yes, it should work out that Jeremy Hill is going to be, it's going to be so cool. You're going to get to see Jay Hill, right? It's going to be world-class athlete on one side, Chubby Carter on the other. Peaked in high school on the other. Won a Super Bowl with the Patriots on the other. Right in front of your face. Carvis, you should already be doing work on this. But the truth is, this is the honest truth. And I say this all the time about every recruit. Do what you feel is best. Right? And I understand that there's a lot of people in here that's like, no, you should just say everyone should go to LSU. And of course, personally, I would want everyone to go to LSU. But the truth is that you don't want players on your team that don't want to be there. Okay? Kevin, this is a really good question. Do you believe we will sign 25 high school kids and 7 transfers, or do you think it'll be a lean class? So first thing, once again, our poll question is dedicated to a first-time listener and a first-time viewer, Brian and Annie. Brian and Annie, please comment. Let me know if you're able to see your poll question being answered. Do you believe Brian Kelly is waiting for the college football playoff to hire his coordinator, right? So, Kevin, I think it's going to be a lean class. I do. I think there are a couple of things you have to take into consideration that we really haven't talked a whole lot about, okay? So, the first thing is that the total roster number actually matters, okay? At most schools, you don't have to worry about the number 85, especially with the transfer portal being the way that it is, right? So, the one thing we are tending to forget about, and Kevin, I'm so glad you brought this up, is that LSU will only be allowed to have 81 scholarship players on their team next year, okay? Whereas every other school will get to have 85 because of the recruiting violations. Now, they say it's Odell Beckham. That's the reason why they self-imposed it. That's not why they did it. This stems back to Vidal Alexander and the dirty hospital payments, okay? Because that one shady booster cost LSU, obviously, a lot here with the 4 scholarships, okay? So the bottom line is we got to keep that in mind. And Brian Kelly, when he signed on the contract, he knows that. So I will tell you this. I think Brian Kelly is going to be stingy as far as who he actually wants in this class because he hasn't had a chance to evaluate them, right? These are all new players to him, okay? Something else to keep in mind is there is no way that Brian Kelly has been able to watch any tape on high school recruits. There's no way, all right? Because there's just too much going on, right? There's no high school recruit that matters as much as who he's going to hire as his next coordinators. and who he's going to hire on his staff. So I think, Kevin, a lot of his focus has been on building a staff and just getting the people that have been on board to stay on board. It's just too much for him to evaluate each and every player, right? And I think he's going to lean on Austin Thomas and their evaluations of this class. Look, Brian Kelly doesn't need to be a rocket science to know that Kendrick Law can play. So, of course, he's not going to need to see every tape of Kendrick Law playing, or Quincy Wiggins, or whoever you want to mention. So, yeah, I think he is going to be a little stingy. I think that's why you saw Aaron Anderson part ways, right? Because I do think the transfer portal is going to get lit. And something else to keep in mind, okay, Kevin, I'm so glad you super chatted this, because all this is starting to come back to me right now, okay? Even though you can sign up to 25 high school kids, right? It's more important to sign transfers. We need people that can play right now, right? I think we are tending to forget that our roster next year is not that deep, right? I'm really excited, obviously, about our 2021 class. I love our 2021 class. I've said it. I think the 2021 class is the best we've had since 2017. And I think there's no debating that. But we're still thin, right? We got to find a lot of people that can play for us right now. And look, Cliff, I know you saw this, and I know a lot of you saw this. LSU made a graphic just for transfer portals. That's the first I've ever seen a school do that, where they are actively pushing for transfers, right? And there's a lot of good ones. And I got pissed off when I saw on Pro Football Focus that Jahmyr Gibbs is heading or leaning towards going to Alabama. If that happens, I will cry. Jared, thank you for the super chat. So let's go to Roby. Frank Wilson coached at Carr High School back in 1999. What school does Aaron Anderson go to? I would love an Aaron Anderson flip back. He's a very interesting guy. You know what's really interesting is Aaron Anderson is an elite returner, right? And we need that if Trey is not going to be around next year. I hope Trey Palmer comes back. But still, I also think part of the reason why I think this class could be a little thin is we don't know which players are actually going to return, right? Obviously TDP's got a very interesting decision. Jeray Jenkins has a very interesting decision. I think Jeray would come back. I think Trey Palmer would come back. I don't know if either one of them have much of a draft market. I just don't know. So I just think right now I'll say this personally, two players that I liked a lot that I thought deserved offers. One, not so much as the other. I've always been really high on Jordan Allen. I know Jordan Allen's got a lot of fans in this channel. He's a 3-star defensive back out of Lafayette. He was teammates with Sage Ryan and Fitzgerald West, who's also going to be a part of this class. Jordan Allen gets an offer. I think he signs. Now, who's going to be very interesting is the Landon Ibata, or Ibiet, I don't know how to say his last name, out of Mandeville. Kid can really play. Also a really good special teamer as well as a returner. Chris, there you go. Chris, your first time commenting, and you changed your photo. Thank you so much. I love it. And you got the beach in the background. You got the calm waters in the background. Look at you, Chris. That's the calm water thing. I love it. I love it. What should be BK's number one priority? Oh, Brian and Andy, thank you for another super chat. Lots of first-time super chatters in here tonight. Let's go. Let's go. Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio. Wolf of Wall Street. Let's go. Greg's in here. Greg's in here. Part of the Booger Band Club, Greg. What should be Brian Kelly's first priority? Shoring up current committed recruits, filling out the class with new recruits, Harold Perkins, or rounding out the coaching staff. I think the last one's more important, Chris, as far as the coaching staff is concerned. I've always felt this way. Your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator hires are way more important than all the other position coaches. I would say right now, Chris, I would say this would just be my best guess. I always felt Brad Davis was the one slam dunk that would be coming back because LSU is paying him so much. And I also thought Brad Davis was really good last year with what he had to work with, and he deserves the opportunity. I also think he's the hungriest on the staff in that he really wants to be in Baton Rouge. He's from Baton Rouge. You could tell this interim head coaching thing is a big deal to him. So I think rounding out the staff is his first priority. I think just based on what Brian Kelly has said in interviews, Chris, the first thing you mentioned, shoring up current committed recruits is obviously the second highest priority. Walker Howard's going to sign, which is big. And I think the two next most important players in this class are Emory Jones and Will Campbell. And they are my two. Well, Emory Jones is my number one player currently committed on LSU of non-quarterbacks. And he's going to sign. I think Emory Jones might play and start next year. I think he's a real deal. And then I think the second part is there, right? You could tell Brian Kelly put a huge priority on Harold Perkins because Harold Perkins is that good of a prospect. We don't do a live stream without talking about Harold Perkins and how transcendent of a talent he is. There's always this one guy that I fall in love with. Last year was JoJo Earl, and I'm going to Bama. We'll see if he actually turns out to be as good as I hyped him up to be. I think Harold Perkins is that guy in this class. I think only Travis Hunter is better than him in this class. We'll see. But yeah, Harold Perkins is just world class. He really is. Thank you so much, Chris, for the super chat. I really appreciate you. Grant, I missed your super chat. Did I? Let's see. Let's go. So yes, Grant and I have been talking privately about Landon. He's a real deal. He's a really good football player, right? Currently committed to Miami. Miami's got a new coach. Landon can easily flip to LSU. Obviously, for those that don't follow recruiting as closely, I'm not a recruiting savant like Sam Spiegelman or Shea Dixon. But I think the only two Louisiana 3-stars that have gotten offers recently is Landon and Jordan Allen. So we'll see, right? Simper still in here? Simper says he's arm wrestling Jeremy Hill. Thank you for the super chat as always, Grant. I appreciate you and your friendship. All these kids crying about Brian Kelly. They don't understand about losing the Drexel 90s are the worst LSU ever had. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, it's interesting. I've always been honest about this. I don't know a whole lot about 90s LSU. I just don't. Post 2000, that was when I really started watching LSU football because I think I was, let's see, let me do some math here. I graduated with a 2.7, so I'm not good at math. What was I? In 95, I was in kindergarten. So I don't remember a whole lot about the 90s LSU. So I rely on you guys. So I'm spoiled. So the only thing I can really remember is like 01, 02, 03. I vaguely remember the Kev Falk game. No, Florida game. So it's pronounced Ibieta. Carter looks like Kayshawn set the record straight. He is a Tiger. Carter, please don't use the phrase, they deserve the chance. We need to hire the best available. Okay. I thought Brad Davis was white only because of his name. Okay. A&M will be on probation soon. For the NIL stuff, there's Greg right there. Greg's been very generous lately, man. I really appreciate you supporting the channel. That's 1A, but 1B, we recruit the players on the team. I agree with that, man. I agree with this as well. I do. We got our HVAC expert in here. I just learned what HVAC stood for. What's up, Scott? I love it. When the wife's away, I listen to Power Hour and what Carter has to say. I love it. Scott, let me know in the comments section, do you think DP takes it home tonight? So for those I don't know, Scott is actually in the MMA business. So let me know. Oh, yeah. Landon is best friends with Besh. Cool. But I was like 7. Me and you both, Carus. So yeah, as far as 90s LSU, you guys, I'll never talk about something that I'm not an expert in, right? So Brian and Annie, I'm sorry I couldn't, go into 90s LSU too much. What's funny is I actually do have a lot of like 90s LSU cards, right? My dad's favorite player growing up was Charles Alexander, so I've always liked Charles. I know a decent amount about him. I have a few of his autograph cards as well. But yeah, that was way back. DP's winning tonight. I'm excited. I'm a big DP fan. I'm all about the Lafayette MMA scene. DP and DC. All about it. I love that. I think it's cool that Lafayette dominates MMA. It's really cool. Simper's a big dude, though, Dwayne. Simper's a big dude. I don't know. I might take Simper. Don't tell Jay Hill that. I might take Simper on that. Mac Daddy Donk. That's a name if I've ever heard one. Did you call yourself that, or is that what someone called you that? Did someone call you Mac Daddy Donk? That would be such an interesting nickname you gave yourself. You looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I'm the Mac Daddy Donk. Paul, welcome to the channel. I think this is Paul K's first ever comment, and it's a good one. Don't worry about A&M. They will it up as usual. So Bryce Young won the Heisman. I still think Will Anderson should have gotten it. I thought he was the best player, and he was dominant wire to wire, right? But I'm fine with Bryce Young winning it. I really am. It is crazy that he threw for 566 yards versus Arkansas, which is just obscene. And he still is nowhere close to Joe Burrow's numbers, like regular season numbers. That's crazy. Oh, you got this name on the gaming circuit? How are you playing Call of Duty, and all of a sudden you snipe someone in the head, and they're like, you know what a good nickname for you would be? Not Sharp Sniper, not Sharp Shooter. Your nickname needs to be Mac Daddy Donk. I don't believe you. I feel like there's something far more interesting as to why your nickname is Mac Daddy Donk. Instead of you gaming with a bunch of teenagers and they say, oh, we're calling him Mac Daddy Donk. Huh? Is it Call of Duty? That makes it even stranger. Welcome to the channel. Yeah, the Heisman Trophy thing does suck as far as recruiting is concerned. I will say this. I think if Will Anderson would have won the Heisman Trophy, it would have been worse for LSU recruiting and just SEC recruiting in general. So I'm glad Bryce Young won it because it was inevitable. Bama was going to have a Heisman Trophy quarterback. You want to be the school that wins the first defensive Heisman. You just do. Daniel wants to talk about Joe Brady. Okay, so let's talk about Joe Brady, right? Okay. So we talk a lot about Charles Woodson won the first defensive player to win the Heisman since Charles Woodson. So we talk a lot about sample size on this channel, right? Still wearing black after the Iron Bowl. So for those that don't know, Mark is an Auburn fan, and he has been supporting the channel for quite some time. I also know Mark personally. So Mark, thank you so much for supporting. Trustee Bryce Young played bad versus LSU and Auburn, and we still lost. So that's what happens when Max Johnson and TJ Finley are your quarterbacks. But anyway, let's talk about Joe Brady just for a second, because I do get a lot of questions about Joe Brady. And we talk about sample size. Johnny Five's in here, okay? So we get Larry says Joe Brady. So let's do this. If you want Joe Brady to be LSU's next offensive coordinator, type Y for yes, type N for no, okay? Do you want Joe Brady to be LSU's next offensive coordinator? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Okay? Lots of no's, lots of no's. James says yes. Nate 2X, good to see you, man. Thomas, good to see you. A lot of first timers in here. So OG. You don't care, Mark? Mark, you care about LSU football as much as anyone in here. There's no way you don't care. Daniel, thanks for super chatting this. I appreciate you, man. So we'll talk a lot about Joe Brady now. Kidding. I was going to anyway, but Daniel, I really do appreciate your support. I really do. He would be a perfect fit. Just heard doesn't like recruiting, which sucks anyway, but still love him. Okay. So let's dive a little deeper into the recruiting aspect of it. Okay. So look, and if we don't have a coordinator hired by Thursday, we'll ask Jeremy about this, because Jeremy knows more about play calling than I do, and how it actually works, right? So first thing, if Joe Burrow is your college quarterback and your college wide receiver options were Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, who are putting together some of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen, and Justin has been the best wide receiver in the NFL this year. And then, of course, you had Clyde and the great offensive line and Terrace and Thad, right? So the first thing is you have to be skeptical of anyone who only had 1 year of elite success with those guys, okay? Remember, the head coach who won a national championship with those guys is out of a job 2 years later, okay? So those guys can make a lot of play callers look good, okay? But notice, I said it can make a lot of play callers look good. Joe Brady didn't actually call the plays. He didn't. Steve Ensminger did. Now, Joe Brady called some of the plays. He suggested some of the plays, but Steve Ensminger was the one who called the plays. Chillmonger, thank you for your super chat as always. We're going to get to your question next. Any LSU football related question, you know I go straight to it. Okay? So keep that in mind, right? Joe Brady didn't actually call the plays. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't have a huge effect, and he deserved the Broyles Award, and he was phenomenal. And Steve Ensminger would not have been as good without Joe Brady. Joe Brady transformed what we thought the LSU offense can look like. These were his concepts, okay? Think of it this way. Okay. Think of the 1990 Bulls. Okay. Tex Winter created the triangle offense, but it was Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan who actually ran the offense, right? It's kind of the same thing here. Okay. Those two called and ran the offense. Tex Winter, those are his concepts. The triangle offense was his idea. Okay. So that's the thing. Now, Joe Brady, that's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying at all. Okay. So the thing is, it's not that I'm saying Joe Brady isn't talented. He's obviously really, really, really talented, Daniel. It's just these 2 years of play calling with the Carolina Panthers has been a mess. Now, it doesn't help that he had the worst quarterback in the NFL this year, and he had Teddy Bridgewater the year before. But there was obviously some growing pains, and Matt Rule was pissed off at him this year, okay? I just don't know how good Joe Brady actually is at calling plays. I just don't, right? I think he can be one of the best. And I'm not saying he couldn't work out. I just think that there's better options out there. I do. Jordan, good to hear from you. I think Brady's system was great, but I would question his adaptability as an OC based on what he was able to do with Carolina. We have no idea who his quarterback's going to be. Let's finish up here with Daniel. No Insminger QB did not develop under him. So I agree with you. I agree with you, Daniel, that if Joe Brady never came, we wouldn't have won the national championship. I'm not disagreeing with his influence on the offense. And he did call some of the plays. 3rd and 17, a lot of it was Joe Brady, right? I love Joe Brady. we don't get to experience what we experienced in 2019. And Ed Orgeron, for all his faults, deserves a lot of credit for making the bold decision to go against his, inclinations of being a power running team and doing that and handing the keys to the concepts to a kid in his 20s, basically. So Joe Brady deserves all the credit in the world for what we got to experience then. But at the same time, it's fine to be skepticism of him calling plays, which he's only done for 2 years, never done at the Power 5 level in college, and also him running a non-Burrow offense. Now, I will say no one's quarterback situation has been worse than Carolina these last 2 years. Nobody. Teddy Bridgewater and Sam Darnold is just abysmal. Would I like to see Carolina go for Justin Fields? Yeah. Would I have liked to see Carolina try to be more aggressive trading for someone? Yeah, I would have. But, it is what it is. And if you're a Saints fan, be happy that they went with a corner who's going to get hurt a bunch. Whitetail changed his photo. There you go. I like it. I appreciate you. I think this is a good question, though, for Scott, right? Notice sometimes you can't think of practicality. You got to think of ceiling, right? Joe Brady's ceiling is still higher, though. I'll say this, okay? I would prefer Joe Brady over Mike Bobo, right? Who is very limited as a play caller. I have no idea why Auburn hired him last year. It did not make any sense, and he's already gone after a year. I would prefer that and just see if Brady can hit that ceiling again. I think it's a good point. Samson and Jasper. That's some great dog names. Lil Height. Okay, Lil Height actually is friends with a lot of the recruits. No question comes to LSU. We need a wide receiver in this class. I love it. Well, we don't need a wide receiver in this class, but it would be nice. Corey says, I think Brady brought in great concepts and he called third down plays. Brady didn't coach QBs. Insminger is a genius. Antoine, the best mustache of PHL. Let's get this. And Daniel, let me know if I answer your super chat. Well, I do love discussing Joe Brady. And there's a piece of me. So Crackthorpe was to blame for all the non-development please. The OC and the QB coach develop and train the QBs. Right. But I don't know if you're referencing Brady here, but Brady wasn't the quarterback coach. So, Antoine, I'm going to get to your super chat. Chillmonger did super chat. What's good, Carter? Late to the live. Not a fan of what Kelly did with Raymond and Falk. They deserve better than what they got from Kelly. I agree with this to a certain degree, Chillmonger. Now, notice he's not saying that, and you might feel this way, Chillmonger, that that you would have preferred them to stay, right? However, I think this question is more directed to how Kelly treated the current coaching staff, right? So from what I've learned, I don't know if I potentially believe this is true. Some people told me this is how it went down, that the coaches were left in the dark as far as what Brian Kelly wanted to do, which is why Mickey Joseph ultimately decided to pack his bags. And Corey Raymond, it's a big reason why he decided to pack his bags. I understand, but Chillmonger, this is where I slightly disagree with that, is it's a mess right now. Having to put together a recruiting class in essentially 2 weeks, and then at the same time trying to figure out what assistants you're going to hire. It is nearly impossible to make every exit be a smooth transition of power, right? I just don't think anyone really would have handled the exits of Raymond and Falk better. I do wish they would have been a little quicker in deciding who they were going to keep and who they weren't. But what kind of sucks, Chillmonger, is that that's the college coaching profession. And a lot of you watch these videos, you see that I use a coach's resume a lot for B-roll on my videos. And part of the reason why is we tend to forget that coaches bounce around a lot. Okay? It's really, really hard to keep everyone happy. It's hard to keep everyone on staff. But I will tell you this. Corey Raymond staying at an assistant's job for 10 years is nearly unprecedented. It is hard to stay at a certain position coach for 10 years. Okay? It's rare. Rare. Assistant coaches bounce around. So yes, Corey Raymond was probably left in the dark, and he was probably pissed off that Frank Wilson got $900K and Brad Davis got $860K. And if I was Corey Raymond, I would be pissed off too. You've been the best DB coach and recruiter of the past decade, right? But the bottom line is I think Kelly was a little skeptical about some certain aspects about Corey Raymond, such as how our secondary's technique disintegrated these last couple of seasons. So I could see why he wanted to move on. And I think this is a good question, Chillmonger. Why would he hire Kerry Cooks to coach DBs? A huge downgrade from Raymond, only to have Raymond go to Florida. Okay? I just don't think I'm just going to be honest. I just don't think Brian Kelly thinks that highly of Corey Raymond. I just don't. And who can blame him? You know, Brian Kelly's in a position, what have you done for me lately? And the LSU secondary has been not great. Not great at all. We played man coverage every snap. We couldn't pass off routes to save our lives. We weren't the absolute best tacklers in the secondary. I like Corey a lot. I think Brian Kelly should have kept him, and he should have done more. But Corey Raymond wanted the associate head coach title. Frank Wilson, who, by the way, this is a key thing to keep in mind, okay? You can't force coordinators on coaches. Kelly has to hire who he wants to hire. Remember, Canada, no, Kelly will hire someone. Patience. This is very key, Chillmonger. When Corey Raymond, okay, what I want everyone to do is to put themselves in Corey Raymond's shoes, okay? When he was at LSU, okay, he joined LSU in 2012. Frank Wilson joined LSU in 2010, okay? So not that much of a difference in when they actually came to LSU. Frank Wilson made double what Corey Raymond made, double. Now, Frank Wilson was also the recruiting coordinator, but Corey Raymond in 2014 was when he got a raise. He got a raise from $300,000 to $310,000, and he had been the best DB coach in the country. Frank Wilson was making $600K. Okay, now you know the good old adage: don't worry about anyone else's money except yours. But in the coaching profession, where salaries are public, you know everybody's salary. And how do you think Corey Raymond felt when Brad Davis got $850,000 a year coaching offensive line? And the only reason he got that money is because someone else was really sucking at their job. And Corey Raymond is sitting there and it's like, well, I've been exceptional at my job. Exceptional, not good, not great, exceptional. So they raised his salary to $600K, and then Corey Raymond became the fourth highest paid DB coach that is a non-coordinator. Corey Raymond probably felt he should have been the highest paid DB coach that wasn't a coordinator. So I think Corey Raymond has a reason to feel wronged to a certain degree. I do. But this is coaching. It's a business, right? And look, part of it, and this is what I would say as far as Corey's side is concerned, and I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up, Chillmonger, okay? I think this is also part of it as well. I think that conversation had already started, right, between Napier and Corey. Let's see. But Chillmonger, I like Corey Raymond a lot. He's obviously been one of the best to ever do this. But I go back to, and this is why I did a Corey Raymond video, and it was just Corey Raymond video, and I did it earlier this week. And Chillmonger, let me know how you feel about this, right? If I was a defensive backs coach at LSU, and I know I've never been a coach, but I feel like I can say this because I said this in every film study I've done over the past 2 years, okay? And you can go back and watch each and every one of them. You guys know it, the hour-long film studies we do after games. It blew my mind that there wasn't someone on the staff that said, look, we can't run man coverage on every snap. And we did it for a year and a half. How can you as a defensive back coach allow that to happen? I could not let that happen. If I were the defensive backs coach, I would have been screaming at whoever, the head coach, whoever was actually calling the defense over the year and a half. We can't run man coverage on every snap. We can't. It's a death sentence. Kentucky, if you just throw a couple of different coverages at Will Levis, he's going to throw 3 pick sixes. He's awful at throwing. But we just played man coverage every snap. 4 down line, you're in this gap, you're going to over penetrate, they're going to run or throw on you. It was like that for a year and a half. Outside of that one game versus Mississippi State this year, which ironically we won. I'm just saying, I have no idea. I have no idea why. And Corey Raymond might have gone to the coaches and said, look, guys, you're running my guys ragged. We're getting hurt. We're getting banged up. We're getting burned because you're not helping out my corners. You've got to help out my guys. You can't put them on islands every snap. You're going to get killed. But that's the thing, Doc. That's the thing. I totally agree with you. He's not the defensive coordinator. But wouldn't you, as an assistant, know you're walking into certain death, right? Let me ask you this. If you're an assistant coach, okay, and you're playing the Brooklyn Nets, okay, are you going to put your point guard on Kevin Durant? No. Well, imagine if the head coach did that on every single time down the floor. It's a death sentence. That's essentially what we were doing, right? If you're the DB's coach, you got to go to them and say, look, our guys can't do this. No secondary can survive playing two-man under on every snap. I'm not saying it's Corey's fault. I'm just saying if he didn't say anything, I just think if Corey Raymond would have gone to the coaching staff and said, look, please, let's switch it up, I think they would have listened, right? And he, once again, full disclosure, he might have done it, right? He might have done it. But still, last rant on Raymond, he was forced to work with Billy Bush and Pelini. Ever since they took the safeties from him, the secondary sucked. I agree with this to a certain degree. Our 2019 secondary was obviously special. They had their moments, but they were really good. But I agree with you to a certain degree on this. I do. I do agree with this, Doc. Eventually, it's going to come down to the head coach and the coordinator, but still, great players make bad coaches look good. It's true. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Roby. I hope we keep Andre Carter as well. But Andre was pretty good in his first year. I do. But I do agree with this, Chillmonger. Ultimately, once again, this is me just nitpicking, right? Once again, if I was Brian Kelly, I would have kept Corey Raymond. I just would have, right? But I also understand starting fresh, and I also understand Corey wanted to go somewhere else. But it is very suspicious that, I wouldn't. I don't know how excited I would be about. We gave up 9.7 yards per pass attempt in 2020. I don't know if I'm excited about hiring a secondary coach who did that in 2020, and then in 2021, we were slightly better. Napier is playing chess right now. It appears he plans. Oh yeah, Jabbar Jalouk. It's cool to see Jabbar Jalouk, former LSU running back coach. Might be going to Gainesville as well. I like Andre a lot, Roby, but I don't think. I'll say this: if I were to rank the assistant coaches I wanted to return the most that weren't coordinators, because obviously it's different, Brad Davis was number one on my list. I really do like Brad a lot. And then I would probably have said Corey Raymond. But once again, that's a little bit different when he's been around for so long. I would then say Blake Baker would be after Brad Davis, and then I would probably say Andre Carter. So, yeah. Seattle Seahawks linebacker is back in the chat. Corey Raymond coming back to LSU in 2 years? Let's go. But no, I'm not blaming Corey for that. I'm just saying, if you're Brian Kelly, you are going to not be gung-ho about hiring a coach from the secondary when that has arguably been one of our worst positions over the past 2 years, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this from Brian Kelly's perspective. Once again, I would have kept Corey Raymond because of what you're saying. He has a good track record. He recruits at a high level. He puts guys in the NFL. I just would have liked to know if Corey Raymond said we need to switch up the coverages or we need to do something different. And then there's also this, right? Why did Corey never want to be a defensive coordinator or a head coach? We don't know. I think some team out there would have given him the opportunity to do that, but he wants to be an associate head coach. They gave that to Frank Wilson, and now he gets to have the job with Florida. So once again, I can understand just wanting to be a position coach. Some people don't want to be head coaches. So yeah. Let's go to Harold Perkins here. Blake Baker stage. Will we get Harold Perkins? That would obviously help out a lot. He's been the primary there for the most part. So yeah, obviously. So yeah, I'll share a few things since we're on the topic of Raymond about Kerry Crooks. Kerry Crooks has had some rough stops, right? The Oklahoma stop wasn't the absolute best. He recruited really well there, but the development wasn't what you would have expected with the talent that he had there. But I will say this is kind of interesting. His stops at Notre Dame have been really good, though, right? Notre Dame secondary these last few years have been decent. You look at yard per attempt numbers, they were barely inside the top 50 in 2020, and this year they were in the top 25. And they didn't have Kyle Hamilton for a good bit this year. I'll also say this, Notre Dame has had a little bit of opponent quarterback luck as far as the other team's quarterbacks being hurt. But still, Kerry's been, for the most part, a really good coach. Oklahoma stop, though, was a little rough. I reached out to a few people in Oklahoma that I know cover the team really closely, and they said, yeah, I mean, there were some rough spots. Then he spent a year at Texas Tech. His secondary was just bad, but Texas Tech has never had a good secondary. No one's been able to coach that secondary up. I don't know what it is. Their secondaries are routinely the worst in college football, but they were really bad when he was there. In 2019, they were 9.2 yards per attempt, which was by far the worst in the Big 12. So, yeah, Kerry replacing Corey Raymond, who obviously has been phenomenal these last few years, were a little shaky. How much of that is the DC? So, yeah, as far as, Kerry Crooks is concerned, it's going to be interesting. I keep saying Crooks. Kerry Cooks. I'm sorry about saying Crooks. Cooks, not Crooks. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Let's check on the poll question. Do you believe Brian Kelly will hire a coordinator that is currently in the CFP for Brian and Annie? Brian and Annie, I hope you're still there. You have 227 voters on your super chat question. Jonathan, what's good? So happy Brian Kelly loves Jake Peets. Yeah, I don't even know what's going to happen to Peets. I have no idea. I think part of the issue as well, ladies and gentlemen, is Brian Kelly is trying to see what kind of coaching staff he can have for the bowl game. Right? I give it 2 years and Corey Raymond gets hired back at LSU with a substantial raise. Hope you're right. Think you keep Jones, Carter, and Baker? I like it. I'd be down with that. We shall see. Music was the one who kept saying we should hire Urban Meyer, and then that story drops today. I honestly think, and I saw someone put this out, I think Urban Meyer is trying to get himself fired. I really am. I think that's why he is, you know, doing what he's doing. He's sabotaging the team basically right now, and he's trying to get himself fired so he can get his contract money because no one should be coaching as badly as Urban Meyer's coaching. Okay. So here's my thing, John. Okay. Ryan Clark said Corey Raymond wanted to be a defensive coordinator. And I heard before Pelini he wanted a shot at defensive coordinator. Well, then why was he interviewing for other defensive back coach jobs? I go back to this. The way Corey Raymond was recruiting, there would have been some school out there that would have immediately hired him as a defensive coordinator just to see if that would work, right? There's a lot of bad defensive coordinators that keep getting regurgitated. And I'm sure there's people that have asked Corey Raymond, if he really wanted to be a DC, though, he's got agents. They can leak his name for DC openings, and eventually he could force his way into a job, especially when you have, DBU on your resume. That's the thing. I don't know. I've never heard him publicly say it, but I would like to see Corey Raymond call plays. I would have liked to see Corey Raymond be the interim head coach, right, for this bowl game. I thought that was for sure going to happen, but I went to Brad Davis. Urban is the worst. Urban is still in Jacksonville, yes. And this is also, something else to keep in mind is when you're getting so Corey Raymond was making $350K a year. And then it went up to $450K, I think, in 2016. And then these past couple of years, he was making $550K a year to be the D-backs coach. Why would you leave for a defensive coordinator job that would be paying you less? So that's something else to keep in mind. Here in spirit, but driving. I get a lot of these comments from people driving while listening. I appreciate it. But I always keep hands at 10 and 2, baby. Hands at 10 and 2. But I wish Corey the best. I really would like to see him call plays, though. Reagan, let me see. Is this your first time in the chat? I feel as though the offensive line would take priority over cornerbacks, coach. It was a more pressing need to be fixed and harder to come by. True, but I mean, if this is regarding salaries, I think that's undoubtedly true. It still doesn't change the fact that if once again hit the like button and Plum drive safely, please. You're a very valued PHL member. So yeah. Once again, I don't want this chat to be drama from other channels. So yeah. It sometimes it spills over. It has a few other live streams. But yeah, hit the like button. That's always a big time help. And Chill Margaret, thank you for donating. I really appreciate you, man. But yeah, the salary thing is important, right? I still think if you were in Corey Raymond's position and the only reason someone was making more money than you is because the person before it sucked so bad at his job that it took a significant raise to get someone else to fill in that person's work, I would be furious as well, right? And this is what's going to happen, okay? Look at Michael. Love the photo, man. And we got the Snapchat filter hearts in there. I love it. That's good stuff. All right, let me show you guys this. Are you guys type Y for yes, type in for no. Have you liked the bottom scroll? Are you guys liking the bottom scroll? Have you guys been able to read it? Look at that. That's so cool, huh? I just figured all this out. Let's go. Jeremy Hill joins us Thursday, 12/16. I love it. You guys liking the bottom scroll? Kevin doesn't like the bottom scroll. Kevin doesn't like it. Kevin. We fancy now. We had to level up for Jay Hill, baby. Got an LSU icon coming on, man. Our first ever guest. I honestly didn't think. I've always wanted the first guest, but I'm telling you, the second guest, if we get this second guest confirmed, y'all are going to love it. Okay. Yeah, I think the second guest is going to be just as fun as Jeremy. So really excited about that. Change the font to gold. That would look better, right? Plus, Killmonger, I see you like purple and gold, man. I love it. It's funny. Most of my family are Noops. Let's see. In college, I had a lot of friends that were Phi Beta Sigma. But Omega Psi Phi, man. I remember Raheem Alim was Omega Psi Phi. It's cool. So many LSU players. Obviously, Shaquille O'Neal. It's cool, man. Rep that frat, baby. Boom. How about this? How are you guys feeling about this? Sorry to hear that. What do you guys think about this recruiting class right here? Do you guys you're Phi Beta Sigma? Okay, the hat. Okay, I see. There you go. But yes, national rank. Who do you guys believe? I can't believe I'm about to ask this question. Type Y for yes, type N for no. Will LSU finish with a top 20 class? Type Y for yes, type N for no. We'll be top 10 when it's all said and done. Doc making poor life choices. Campbell, where have you been? Good to see you, man. Graylin from Baton Rouge. I love it. Bayou says the transfer portal. Reagan says top 15. I like it. We get a few surprise signups. What's up, Smiley? Good to see you, man. Wow, I love the beard, man. Big Al. OG's coming for that the beard title. I gotta say, no one's mustache is better than Antoine's. Antoine is the mustache king of PHL. Carver says top 15. If we get Jacoby, we'll be top 15. Terry, welcome to the channel. I like the name Terry in Ingrafia? Is it Ingrafia? That's such a cool last name. Graylin, I've been missing you, man. Jonathan, I gotta get I'm so Haley got me a shelf, and I'm gonna put my Kev Falk SI cover that you got me in the background. I got it in Graphia. I love it. Big Al, we got some people coming for that beer title, man. Ooh, I like you, Doc. That's big time. Corey, I don't know, but I'll tell you this: it does feel good that LSU had the official visits that they had. So it's obviously really cool stuff right there. So there you go. That's where we sit right now. Make it a little easier for you. Okay, so let me ask you guys this: which one of these four players? Okay, just type WC for Will Campbell, type WH for Walker Howard, type LW for LaTerrence Welsh, type EJ for Emory Jones. Which one of these four players plays the most in year one? All right. I'm curious your response to this. Early signing period is 15th to 17th. Lots of EJs in there. I like it. This is an Emory Jones Stan channel. Only real Emory Jones fans are allowed on this channel. A Baton Rouge bias, baby. Let's go. Terry says Will Campbell. OG says Will Campbell. OG says watch out. Coming for that beard title. Emory Jones. Smiley's an Emory Jones guy. We still have time to flip JoJo Earl. Transfer portal, baby. Emory Jones. I like it. Got some Emory Jones fans in here. Brandon, good to see you. Walker Howard, yeah. I agree with that, Grant. I do think spoke to someone I feel would know Garrett Nussmeier's future better than mine. I feel like Nuss is going to be back next year. I do. It's funny. You're the first to say. Let me see who all said LaTerrence Welsh. I think you're the first to say LaTerrence. Reagan. Mark says, I don't know. I love every single one of these players. I really do. I'm high on all of them. But yeah. Let's see. Boom. There you go. Now it's just me. The athleticism on your screen just went down a lot. But yeah, I mean, LaTerrence can play. I know, Jonathan, you're going to destroy me about not having the Kev Falk photo in my background. It'll be back. Let's talk about Miles Brennan. Thank you so much, Showmonger. I appreciate it. I hope one day our paths will cross and you can hang out with a lot of my Noop family. Just celebrated my grandfather's birthday. turned 89. He is a proud noob. Assuming Brennan doesn't transfer, which QB, if any, do you think we should pursue from the portal? I'm glad you asked this question, right? Because there are some really good quarterbacks in the portal. Obviously, Miles Brennan is there. Dylan Gabriel is there. Spencer Rattler is there. I understand Spencer Rattler gets the chat going. It gets the blood flowing. I like Spencer Rattler for 1 year. But he's got a bad attitude. Well, I'll tell you this, okay? Your attitude tends to clean itself up when there's millions of dollars on the line and you know that it could be your potentially last chance for you to get paid, right? Brian Kelly, he's really hard on his quarterbacks. His offense can be a little overcomplicated sometimes. I feel like Brian Kelly can Jimbo Fisher his quarterbacks, such as overcoach them. But at the same time, a lot of competent quarterbacks can put up big numbers if Jack Bech, BTJ, and Malik and Kayshawn are on the outside, right? I could see Max Johnson. I don't think he's coming back, but I do think Max Johnson could end up at an SEC rival. I could see, obviously, Florida State's going to be his favorite, but look, there's a lot of quarterback-hungry teams out there, especially in the SEC. I don't know what Kentucky's going to do in the post-Will Levis era. I don't know if he's coming back. Max could try his hand at Ole Miss. Lane still needs a QB for next year. Miles could try his hand at Ole Miss. So there's a few teams in the SEC looking for a QB, right? Incarnate Ward's Cameron Ward. I love it, man. I don't even know where Incarnate Ward is, Joe Monger. I have no idea. No idea. I would not mind Spencer Rattler for a year, though. Okay? We're obviously going to have some shaky pass protection at times next year. But if you give Spencer Rattler some time, he could run a vertical passing offense. Reed's a Dylan Gabriel guy. I'm all about it. My favorite transfer portal quarterback is already what's in San Antonio? What's Incarnate Word? Let me look up. What about Quinn Ewers? Quinn Ewers was brought up a bunch in our live chat. Okay. Gale and Tom Benson Stadium. I didn't know that. That's kind of cool. Jared's looking for someone to go to the basketball game with them, and we're going to Vandy for February 4th. I love this name, Aldarian Tidmore. I love it. Welcome to the channel. Is this your first time, Aldarian? Good to see you. How about this name? Okay. I want to, and I'm glad you super chatted this, Chillmonger. I'm going to give you a deep sleeper. All right. Deep sleeper. Not in love with this quarterback. I saw him play earlier this year versus Cincinnati. And he might have already gotten picked up. What about Michael Penix Jr.? Anyone in here a Michael Penix fan? Does anyone in here know where Michael Penix even played last year? Welcome to the channel, Al Darian. We want to make all our first timers feel wonderful. Michael Penix Jr.'s. Let me write this name down. Cameron Ward. This is why I like you, Chillmonger. You always make me think, man. Cameron Ward. Penix's arm is weaker than Max. Indiana. Oh, Michael Penix fans in here? I mean, we got 287 in here. Someone's got to be related to Michael Penix. So, Matt, good to see you. I got an offer from Ole Miss 2 hours ago. Miles Brennan needs to come back. I'm down. They asked me about that on 104.5 yesterday. Shout out to Mario and Musso. They also told me to take the under in Army-Navy for the 16th consecutive year. That is my favorite college football stat. 16 straight unders. Towboat. Good to see you, man. You know what's interesting, Doc? I'm not the smartest when it comes to throwing motions, but it's interesting, right? So they make a big deal about the class of 2023 quarterbacks, right? Arch Manning, his mechanics are going to be pretty good, but it's interesting. So like the number 2 quarterback is Malachi Nelson, and he's really good. He's a 5-star and he's committed to USC, and he's Lincoln Riley, who was committed to Oklahoma. He's got the longest throwing motion I think I've ever seen from, an elite recruit. Throwing motion is such an underrated thing because the windows are so much smaller in college. Like, that ball's got to be out. Now, I'm not asking you to be Dan Marino with the release, but throwing motion is very underrated. Max, sometimes it would take him forever to actually – it wasn't so much that his throwing motion was slow. It was just, everything is so split second, but, it seemed as if he would process the defense, right? But for that half little second, Max, every time, it wouldn't be that he would like double pump or anything like that. It just seemed like the process of processing the defense and then throwing the football just took forever, right? I've got to look this up. Cameron Ward. That's cool, man. This is pretty funny. Max was the dollar store Tebow. That's funny. I'm sorry. It's pretty accurate too. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Jack Miller, Ohio State QB in the portal. It worked before. Sean B. What's good, man? Alabama DC, Cincinnati OC. So Alabama's defensive coordinator is obviously Pete Golding. I think the thing that would excite a lot of you is that he is from Louisiana, and he's had a lot of success in Alabama. I think Pete Golding's a fine defensive coordinator. I do. I would like Pete Golding. And then the Cincinnati offensive coordinator is Mike Dimbrock. Obviously, there's familiarity. Him and Kelly were together. I will say this: when I was doing some research, So Mike Dimbrock and Brian Kelly are really tight. It is a little interesting that Dimbrock left Kelly on his own accord to take the Cincinnati offensive coordinator job. Very interesting. I do think there is some truth to Brian Kelly being somewhat difficult to work with, right? If you work with a coach that's elite, he's going to be very demanding. Robert, welcome. Good to see you. Let's see. Make sure. Penix has all kinds of injury issues, but he can get to the pylon, right? Penn State fans. It's still one of the craziest plays I've ever seen. I don't think he was in. But Cameron Ward, I'm interested. I'm very interested. I don't think I've ever even heard of him before tonight. I really haven't. And I look at this stuff all the time. Not so much transfer portal because, you could spend so much time researching a quarterback, but if he doesn't pick LSU, it's like, what was I doing? So today I was looking at a bunch of Brad White stuff for the defensive coordinator. I don't know what Brian Kelly's going to do for the offensive coordinator, guys. I just don't. Okay, Reagan, I do agree with this, but I do think there is something to be said about running your own operation, right? So when you have a defensive-minded coach, which is Saban, the head coach is going to have more say in your defensive game plan, right? And once again, Saban doesn't call the plays, but if you go to LSU and there's an offensive head coach, some coordinators like the autonomy, right? So, I think that would be the only benefit, but I don't see him leaving. He's making a pretty penny right now to be the Bama defensive coordinator, and trust me, I think he's enjoying having Will Anderson for another year after this one. $150 more likes. I'll tell you this, if you guys don't super chat, Dustin Poirier is going to lose tonight. So, yeah, I don't know about the Todd Monken stuff. I know, there's been some heavy rumors out there as far as Todd Monken. I talked to Blake at Are You Serious about this for about an hour the other day, but, the Georgia offense. It is interesting that their roof opener wide receivers, guys that can pop the top off a defense, they haven't had Perkins. Burton has been fine. But yeah, JT Daniels is a better thrower of the football, but Bennett's been their guy, right? So yeah, maybe as far as Todd Monken's vertical game, they've still been able to get the ball vertically. They've had to be a little bit more creative with it. With Lad McCoskey, I love that name. But yeah, I would be fine with Todd Monken. I really would, especially if he's a little more pro style. That'll make Brian Kelly feel a little more comfortable. Ragin' Gagin. Damon Clark is better than Dean Anderson and Will Anderson. I like Clark a lot, but he's not a better player than Will Anderson. Plus, they're two completely different players. I'll tell you this, though. I think Clark can play Anderson's position, and I don't think Anderson could play Clark's position, if you get what I'm saying. But Will Anderson is the best defensive player in college football. So, Robert, I'm glad you brought this up. I want Ohio State's offense. So, our first super chat, she's not in here tonight, Katie. I've never heard of Ohio State's offensive coordinator. And his name is Kevin Miller or Kevin Wilson. I don't remember. And that was an outside the box idea. I liked her idea. And I love the Ohio State offense. They get vertical, and we have what we have to run that type of offense, the Ryan Day offense, right? So yeah, I want Ohio State's offense. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I really wouldn't. I'd be down with this, Rohan. No, what are you laughing at, Michael? Let's see. DJ Wozlak. I like it. 4-star DN. I know he's getting the official visit. Good super chat here. I always love a good super chat. We've had some really good questions in the super chat tonight. So once again, I will say this. I got a few comments about this during the last live stream. Some of y'all, hey, back. She's back. It is cold. It is kind of chilly in here. I didn't know. I didn't want to turn the heat on.
You didn't know how to turn it on?
I just didn't turn it on. She's back.
Now I gotta unload all this shit.
Don't curse in the thing.
Stuff.
She just demonetized the whole stream.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
All it takes is one. Everyone say hi.
Hello.
Did you give me any more presents today? A calzone.
That's for dinner tomorrow night. Did you eat those other 2 pieces of pizza in there yet?
I only ate one. I still got some fish in there.
So you got that. Don't eat that calzone.
I might eat the calzone after
this.
I want to eat the calzone tonight.
Please don't, so I don't have to cook tomorrow night.
I'm not going to eat the calzone tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'm going to get all this stuff out of the car. And
Hey.
I got the baby.
Got the baby?
Hi, baby, Mom.
You can't turn the heat on for a PHL stream, baby. Let's go. So Mike Elko is the defensive coordinator for Texas A&M. And I do think it'll help out LSU, obviously, in some of these recruiting battles. Obviously, with Harold Perkins and Jacoby Matthews in particular, because they did have some Texas A&M lean. Also for some 2023 guys, right? DJ Hicks, 5-star defensive lineman, who's camped at LSU before. So, yeah. I've got to say this, though. My lovely girlfriend just walked in. So I feel like it is important to bring this up. There were some of y'all really thirsting in the live stream for some of our lovely ladies of PHL that are always commenting in here. Danielle, Paris, and Katie. They were flattered, but some of y'all just get so thirsty. You see one beautiful lady comment in here. And they all go crazy. I'll go crazy. Some of y'all were like, "Oh, hey, Katie, what do you think she's gonna do? Do you think she's gonna be like, oh, YouTube commenter?" Oh man. In what ways? That's funny. Texas 8-4. I love it. Calzones, stew it. Look. Yeah, Danielle. Danielle's been pursued a lot. Danielle is happily married. But some of y'all still try. So yeah, obviously Mike Elko. Let me say this. Larry says, I'm that guy. It's funny. The ones, I have to say this, as far as Mick is going to holler at every girl that comments in here. Okay. At least Mick has a profile photo, but more often than not, it's just people with a letter commenting. Now, do you think any lady is going to be flattered when they just see the letter, like, I don't know, M or whatever? No. You got to have your photo. And the funny thing is, Raylan, we've chatted on Instagram before. So, Raylan, we need to see your photo. I like seeing the photos instead of the letters because I get the letters confused. With the photos, I'm able to remember, right? Some of y'all have great photos. So, look, let me first say this, Graylin, as far as Mike Elko, okay? I don't know what he's thinking here. I don't get going from A&M to Duke unless he really didn't want to coach at A&M anymore and he wanted to be a head coach. I don't know. I've never understood it. I've thought about this nonstop. A&M is starting to recruit at the top 5 national, right? So that means A&M is going to have a national championship level roster threshold for next year. They're going to have like a top, like their 4-year recruiting aggregate's going to be like 7.5 next year or something like that, which is really, really good. Like they are officially about to be top 5 recruiters, which is crazy. And you decide to leave for Duke now? Duke, where it's, I know the ACC sucks, but it's still really hard to win at Duke, right? I don't get it. Maybe Elko had never really gotten head coach offers. But if he would have had just another year at Texas A&M as a decent defensive coordinator, you would have gotten a job next year. Tony Elliott just got a job, and it was his worst year by far as Clemson's offensive coordinator. He got a job at Virginia, which is a better job than Duke. I don't get it. I don't get what Mike Elko is doing, right? So, look, that's the first thing. The second thing is that's obviously a huge win for LSU because Elko was the best defensive coordinator in the West, right? So, look, Raylan, I've never understood it. I don't, but it does help out LSU big time, especially considering that it happens this close to the early period. So if I'm LSU, I'm not only calling Harold Perkins, I'm not only calling Jacoby Matthews, I'm calling Bryce Anderson, who was just committed to you. I'm calling a lot of different people. I don't think Bryce Anderson would flip back. He's amazing, though. Play quarterback and runs a legit 4.4. I don't think he'd flip back, though. I don't. But Jordan, I agree. Eat the calzone. It's also a Rotolo's calzone, right? But I have some leftover fried fish, and she just wants me to eat that. A fried fish plate I had for lunch. I got a piece or so left. And, yeah, I think I'm just going to eat the fried fish and eat the calzone tomorrow. Plus, she got the calzone for me, so I'm going to do what she says. Normally, I eat the calzone, though, because I don't get to have Rotolo's that often. Eat the calzone live. Reggie, there you go. So for those that don't know, a lot of you believe in a higher power, whichever higher power that may be. Keep in mind, our friend Reggie battling the evil sea, okay? Reggie's had surgery, and he's recovering. Reggie, Remember, I sent you those booger bands, okay? Everybody that's fighting cancer that I know of, I've sent booger bands to. Make sure you wear that booger band. It will give you strength in this battle. It'll let you know that I'm with you and everyone on this channel is with you, Reggie. It's a good question. I do think he is. We haven't talked too much about this, so I do think so. I do. They're a big help. I really do believe in the power of the booger will be with you. We're with you, Reggie. Look at that. FDC. Exactly. Hey, there's Nicole. Hey, Nicole. Oh, yeah, Jacoby is playing in the state championship tonight. You know what's interesting? No one has brought up the tight end from Westgate, Lewis, who is getting offers from Florida and everyone except LSU. And we have an open slot because we had a tight end leave. What's the kid's name? Danny Lewis, I think. The kid just won the state championship MVP. Send the offer, Frank. Danny Lewis. I'm all about Danny Lewis. Any tight end that wears a single-digit number in high school, I'm all about that life, baby. Let's go. So, yeah, Reggie, they do help out. Put on those booger bands, man. I believe in it. Think about my booger every day. I'll tell you this. Someone else that I know in college football media is going through a situation with his dogs as well. And, man, I couldn't imagine life without my booger. It's been tough, but Z has been wonderful. Gotta love our fur babies. Remember, PHL is a dog-only channel. If you have cats, I'm perfectly fine with you guys loving cats, right? Jordan, thank you so much for the Cash App for some booger bands. So the booger bands are currently being made. I was negotiating, trying to get the price down and all that stuff. So yeah, the booger band prices will go up. And Jordan just bought 3 booger bands. So Jordan, thank you so much. Email me or shoot me a message on Instagram or Twitter at Carter the Power, and I will mail those booger bands out to you. And I'm going to include these cards in your order. Okay. So Jordan, look at what Jordan just bought 3 booger bands. He's going to be getting a Joe Burrow card. He's going to be getting a Patrick Queen card. He's also going to be getting a Jarvis Landry card. How about that? So, Jordan, congratulations, man. Shoot me an email, and I'm going to throw some other goodies in there as well for you, man. Appreciate you. Greg's got his. Normal guy, what's up, man? Think LSU signs 25 high schoolers, or do they take more than 7 transfers? I can easily see them taking more than 7 transfers. I can. But we'll see. A bug band is this right here. Donk. I've also heard that booger bands help with gaming. Let me see. I'm wearing a hoodie. This is a booger band right here. It's in honor of our late dog, Bug. So there you go. It says, let's go. Bug number 7 on there. So there you go. OCDC, once again, my OC is still Jeff Grimes. But once again, would he want to go somewhere for a non-head coaching job? I don't know. And my DC is Durante Jones. Also, if you do super chat tonight, it does help out Dustin Poirier winning tonight. So I want you guys to know that. All right. Now it's funny, Jared. Ragin Gagin. Let me make sure I pronounce this correctly this time. What kind of gaming do I engage in? I don't game. The only game I ever played growing up, I played a lot of Sega Genesis growing up. I don't know if that ages me a whole lot, but Sega Genesis is still the best console of all time. I played a lot of N64, and there's never been a game console as good as those two. And also, the only game that not a single one of you could beat me in is FIFA. That was the only game I played growing up. And soccer was my best sport growing up. Played all throughout high school, played AAU, all that stuff. So, yeah, I played a lot of FIFA. And obviously, I'm a big international soccer fan. Liverpool won today. Mo Salah from the spot. Mac, I currently have ordered some more today. So, Venmo or Cash App, it's 3 for $25. The prices have gone up, but as many of you know, as every single one of you that have ordered booger bands know that you don't just get a booger band, you get LSU cards in them. So I also give out Drew Brees cards in there. And so, yeah, you get a prize pack. There's some, I sometimes throw some extra stuff in there. So there you go. And also it helps out the channel a lot. Brent, I was a center midfielder. Good question, Robert. A lot. Obviously, the ones that are all committed, I think, are visiting this weekend. Harold Perkins is not visiting this weekend, but we're visiting him. Quincy Wiggins is visiting. A lot of different names are visiting. The 4-star defensive lineman, the DJ Wezelak. Don't know a whole lot about him, but it looks like he is going to commit. The Landon Ibieta. Grant corrected me earlier. I don't know if I'm still mispronouncing it. A really good wide receiver out of Mandeville. I know Jordan Allen is visiting this weekend. And those are the guys you really got to focus on. These Louisiana 3-stars that get these late offers, and you just hope they commit, right? All right, so we do have shirts, but I am meeting with a merch company who's also a viewer of the channel. We're going to have a new logo on shirts as well. So that's going to be coming soon. As many of you know, I don't just like to just throw things out there. I take my time. We're going to be doing all kinds of cool stuff on this channel. We're going to do some membership stuff, and it's going to be fun, right? But we're always going to do like live streams and hangouts and videos and all that stuff. So, yeah. Kind of a low-key crazy sports day today, right? 5X shirts. All right, I'll do it. I know Johnny 5 has gone on me about this. Esteban's gone on me about this. About getting larger shirts. So, yeah. So, yeah, we're going to be getting some new shirts, and we will have a new, I mean, this will probably always be our logo in the top right corner. But we are working on some alternative logos. Dan Mullen for offensive coordinator. Mullen is an X's and O's guy that wasn't cut out for a big job like Florida, but all things considered, he did a good job. It's kind of funny, right? So Dan Mullen has one of these names that you just kind of always put an S at the end. I don't know if you guys do that as well. When I was doing stand-up, when anyone would always mention, hey, one of my favorite comedians is Gary Owens. And I'm like, no, that's not his last name. It's Gary Owen. I do that all the time. Dan Mullins. Because one of my friends, she wasn't Mullins, she was Mullins, right? I've always said that Dan Mullins. Mullet is an next. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why I do this. Oh man. Dry fit gear, Carl? Sure. I do like dry fit though, right? Mullen is an X's and O's guy. I do like Dan Mullen a lot, just not fresh off of just getting fired. What I think is going to happen is Dan Mullen is going to get a cozy commentator job, and then he'll get back into coaching next offseason. Here's the issue with hiring someone like Dan Mullen, right? Compared to, once again, Max, I'm not even going to say his last name, Warren. So Ruggiero, I've never been able to say his last name. Nick Mullins, yeah, right? Okay, I got to laugh at this, Bobby. That's really funny. Dan Mullins' wife is more of a player's coach. I got to say, part of why I don't want Dan Mullen is his wife, right? You guys know I keep personal stuff out of my channel. I keep it mostly just football. As far as like, coaches' personal lives, I'm still creeped out over the Dan Mullen hugging the players stuff. That's just not cool. It's not. You're violating. It's laughable how awkward it is. You're violating another human being's personal space, right? So she would give these point blank hugs. And I've talked about this on this live stream. I hate that. Point blank and like hug and basically kiss the players. What is that? She likes to embrace. I've never just sat down and watched Notre Dame football. No, I mean I've seen them play a few times, but like I don't sit and watch, the Mike Tirico Fest every afternoon on NBC, right? Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young won the Heisman. I didn't see the thing. It's just so you don't like. I don't know. You don't get in people's personal space, right? It's kind of this always happens to me at the grocery store, right? There could be nobody behind the person behind you in line, but they get right up behind you and they're breathing into the back of your neck. Why? Just space out. Just give me some space. And this is true, Pegasus. And she probably did have a close relationship with those players. Take that for what it's worth. Let your imaginations run wild. You still it's one thing to hug the players. It's another thing to this is what she would do. So for those that don't, she would grab another player's face and put her face like right up to it. You don't see Terry Saban doing that. I mean, just scoot back. But no, you're right, Pegasus. I'm not the wives of coaches should be there for the players, but you don't have to do that. You just don't. You don't have to hug people point blank. You don't like close talkers? I don't. I don't. It's part of the reason why, like one of the coolest things in when I was still doing like traditional radio is like you would do remotes where like you would do your show out wherever, right? And I just hated when people would just stand right next to you. Like you just don't. You just don't have to do that. But here's a good thing is our press would eat Dan Mullen alive. That's not true. It's just not true. The Baton Rouge press is one of the most friendly press groups. I mean, they're easy to work with, and coordinators don't have to speak to the media. So Mullen would get to just coach, right? So yeah. All right, guys, we're 2 hours into this. So yeah, we'll keep this train moving. So yeah, I'll answer as many questions as I possibly can in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Obviously, if we keep super chatting, we'll keep hanging out all night. You guys know I can go all night. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. What's up, Aaron? Oh, Drew, that's I saw that photo with Saban and Brian Kelly. I like that, man. Nolan Knight taking in the power hour. Let's go. Tony's not in here. The Master Blaster's not in here. I know a lot of you are wondering where Tony is. Live streams are always better with Tony. The Master Blaster. Let's go ahead and end this poll. All right, next super chatter gets to determine the poll question. All right, Gaijin. It's still kind of weird. Raging Gaijin. Jared, thank you for the super chat. All right, Jared, you get to pick the super chat question. Jared and Nicole. Where's the DP fight tonight, Simper? Where are they fighting tonight? Reggie, I know you're in pain right now, my friend. Hang tough, okay? You got it, Reggie. You got it. Those booger bands are with you. We're with you. You're stronger than any one of us, man. Keep up your fight, brother. You got it. Fights in Vegas tonight? Cool. Thoughts on Todd Monken? Not a fan? Well, let me do this, Chili. Oh, come on. Don't lag on me. Good. Here we go. So, Chili, your super chat is now our question. Okay. But Reggie, really stay tough, man. Hear my thoughts. Chillmonger's got a calzone coming. Ha, ha, ha. I love it, man. I don't get to have calzones that much, so shout out to Hey Hey. Hey Hey. Reads, let's see. Todd Monka was a beast. I still think Georgia really doesn't have a whole lot at the skill position. I agree. I agree with that, Reed. I really do. I mean, it's interesting, right, Reed, that this has been Georgia's worst set of running backs. They're still really good. I mean, Zamir White is still a really good football player. But this has been their worst set of backs and their worst set of receivers, right? And this has been their best team under Kirby. I missed the whole show, but that rewind is about to go hard. All love. Pirates life for me. That's right, Aaron. Shout out to the Sailors. Aaron, you know what's funny? That was a highlight for the last live stream for me. I really do mean this. I freaking love getting to know what you guys do for jobs. I know that's crazy, but you can ask Haley. Like, Haley doesn't get it, but I am obsessed with truck drivers. I'm obsessed. Like, I want to know what goes through their mind when they're pulling a 13-hour drive cross country, carrying all that freight, knowing that every single driver on the freeway hates you and wants you to get out of the left lane. I couldn't imagine that job, knowing every driver on the planet hates your guts. And the Buc-ee's doesn't allow truck drivers. So the best convenience store that's supposed to be a safe haven, a great stop for everyone. What's up, Lou? Good to see you. Dang, Lou, this profile photo is fire, man. Dear Lord. I'm blown away by this. There's a lot going on here. We got a pool table. We got is that a corduroy suit with a red bow tie? Lou, are you freaking kidding me? This is insane. The no sock dress shoe look is always fly. Goodness. And Lou just got done winning the game because it looks as if only the cue ball is still left on the table. Are you kidding me? You're going full Stefano Palinga on them. You're going full Mike Massey on them. Aaron Core, Allison Fisher, Jeanette the Black Widow Lee has never seen a pool player like Lou Basie. Are you kidding me? Welcome, Lou. I really do. That is just so fresh, man. I'm freaking loving this. You guys got to get on Lou's level. Aaron's level is pretty tight too with the satchel. Freaking love it, man. I don't live in Maryland anymore, but I did live in Silver Spring. Or were you asking me that? You know what's interesting, K-Matt? I didn't really, welcome to the channel, K-Matt. I think this is your first time as well. Read on Dandy Don that LSU was interested in Tyson Pomachau. So for those that don't know, he is Clemson's backup. He's been Trevor Lawrence's backup for a few years now. And obviously he's DJ Uiagalelei's backup. It's interesting. He was a 4-star coming out. He's talented. Lou, look at this, Lou. People are really loving your style, man. Let's go, Lou. Let's go. Let's go. We got you're talking to Law V. Stetson Bennett the fourth. So here's the thing, though. Stetson Bennett's a walk-on quarterback, right? I think Stetson's a good quarterback, right? I don't think he's great. I think he's good, though. So, yeah, Kamari Wilson to LSU. So LSU is getting a little lucky, even though they don't have their defensive coordinator picked out yet. Elko left, Dan Lanning left, and that does help you out with Harold Perkins and Kamari Wilson and no, that guy's Bear Alexander's not going anywhere. But it does help out, with some decommitments in there. Maybe the Brownlow Dinley guy who flipped from OU to A&M, maybe he has another flip in him. You never know. I did also see that Kelvin Banks, who LSU was after, left Oregon but took Texas when Texas announced they're giving every offensive lineman on scholarship next year $50,000. Are you kidding me? That is a large sum of money. Not $10,000. I think $10,000 would have gotten the job done. $50,000 for offensive linemen. You just got to be on scholarship, and you're getting $50,000 from the Texas nonprofit. Into Red T, I love his first comment is about trucking. I love it. In 20 years, most cross-country semis will be self-driving. Yeah, I've listened to different people speak on this. I don't know. I could see it 20 years. Yeah, I could see it in 20 years. But still in the next 5 or 10, I still think truck driving, there's always going to be a truck driver shortage. If you're a good truck driver, you can make $80K a year with benefits. But, dude, it's a brutal job. It's brutal. That's why I'm so fascinated by truck drivers, man. They are the lifeblood of our country, right? We are nothing without our truck drivers. And it sucks. That job sucks. But they're the nicest people. They are the nicest people. Let's go. Jared's pick hasn't changed yet. Stetson Bennett has 2 last names. Lou says, I appreciate that, fam. Being in the Army, this channel helps with my everyday schedule with these last few months. I've always been a big on fashion. No, I appreciate the love, coat. Igers. So, what's funny, Lou, is I have a lot of friends that dress well, right? I don't dress well. I don't wear a suit well. I don't wear dress pants well. When you're I've been in sports broadcasting my whole life. It's basically, been my only job, right? You don't tend to dress the absolute best for what I do, but most sportscasters have to dress nice, right? They have to wear a suit. But yeah, for those that actually do dress nice, look, it helps. It really does help, right? In your professional life, in your personal life, right? Hey puts up with my crappy dressing because I don't know why she puts up with me. She just does. I don't know. I don't get it. She's an angel. But yeah, Lou, dressing up nice just is a game changer. It really is. You can't downplay it. There really is no negatives to it, right? Bring back JC Copeland. I did not think I would be doing a live stream tonight and JC Copeland's name would be dropped. Maybe we need to just talk about fullbacks. I'm going PFT commenter, low man award, big cat. We're just going to talk about LSU fullbacks. Where are my James Stampley fans? Are there any James Stampley fans out there? Right? Reed, you are right. about that. Yeah, I'm wearing the heck out of this hat. It's the only hat that fits me. So Trey isn't in here. Trey is actually a skull expert. And I have a chicken nugget on the back of my head. I want y'all to see this, right? So I got this. My noggin sticks out, the back part of my noggin. And Trey's not in here tonight, but Trey told me what it's called. And there's only certain hats that can fit on my noggin, right? So I wear my Liverpool hat because it actually fits. Got a David Dupree reference. Sean Jordan. There's Scott. Of course, Scott's going to shout out the MMA fullback. Nicole. Hey, Nicole. This is the first time I've ever seen Nicole. Good to see you, Nicole. She wants to know how Haley's doing. Haley is fantastic. She made a long road trip to Shreveport today. Shout out to JJ and all our 318ers out there. And she just got back. So, yeah, she was doing some Christmas shopping. John David Moore. Charles Scott. How about this? Okay. What's up, Robert? Thank you so much for the super chat. King Robert always dropping a very nice super chat to me. I appreciate you big time, King Robert. So excited, guys. I'm getting really excited about Thursday. I really am. Jay Hill, man. Can't believe it. Jeremy freaking Hill is going to be on here. How freaking crazy is that going to be? Doesn't even make sense. Nice nugget. There you go. So there's only certain I like hats. I got to say this, though. So my cousin played college football, right? Lived in D.C. It was when I was living in Silver Spring, right? Max, thank you for the super chat. All right. I'll tell the story in a second. What do you think, instead of NIL, we get these kids 2-year contracts if they're on scholarship, depending on their performance in high school, it's how much you get paid for the contact, no transfer, opt-out for bowls in that 2 years. I like the outside-the-box thinking, Max, but as many of you know, not all high school quarterback play is created equal, right? So, for instance, let's take 2 5-star quarterbacks into the equation. Let's take Cade Klubnik, who's the number 1 quarterback in this cycle, and let's take Arch Manning, the number 1 quarterback in the next cycle. They both play in really competitive states where there's a lot of Division I talent, but Cade Klubnik plays at the most competitive level you can in Texas, and Arch Manning plays at Newman, which is still competitive. There's still D1 athletes on the field, but it's just not as difficult, right? So as far as basing the contracts that they get based on their high school performance, it's tough. Now, if you're saying that recruits can negotiate contracts, then sure, that's a little bit more plausible. Instead of just, if you rush for 30 touchdowns, you get 10,000. If you rush for 20, you get 5. So yeah. But also, these 2-year contracts, that would make it basically professional football, which it kind of is already. Also, Max, something else that I would mention is, as far as, so like in basketball, we have the overtime league. Now we have the G League. You can go play professional overseas. I'm still shocked that there's not been a competitive alternative for high school athletes to go play professional football. I'm still thinking Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's going to do something about it. He's got the XFL. He's got the XFL deal, so that's pretty cool. But I would be very interested to see I'd be very interested to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, if he's going to fire up that XFL and give high schoolers an alternative to go play professional football immediately. Any chance the Saints could help get an NIL deal between LSU players and Caesars? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't think sports books can do the NIL stuff, but I don't know. I'd be down with this, a performance-based salary structure. But we got a Quinn Johnson reference. How do we forget Quinn Johnson in the fullback chat? How about Connor Neighbors, currently on the LSU? Yeah, Hester's a fullback in the NFL, but in college he was more of a running back. But he still played a lot of fullback in college too. Oh, you're going to the game next year? LSU Florida State, September 4th, the Superdome in New Orleans. That's going to be a fun game, man. Oh, look at this. Congrats to Joseph. Man, I just closed on the house. Finally got moving in and my knee hurt. I'm sitting down watching you on YouTube. Good to be back. Joseph, I was wondering where you were. Congrats, Big Daddy, on the new house. You and the significant other there. Congrats, man. Jeremy's a low-key guy, man. But it's interesting. Like, every time I send a message to Jay Hill, he always responds, "Let's go." I think he really does enjoy the channel. And I do think he's really going to enjoy being on the show. And hopefully it leads to some more legends. I'll freak out if, like, we ever get, like, Jarvis Landry or someone like that on the show. Jarvis Landry would be a dream guest. A dream guest. As many of you know, one of the coolest moments of my career was there was a author who he lives in Canada, right? And he writes books on children's education and how to teach kids to be the best versions of themselves. And I was writing for Bleacher Report at the time. I was writing an article on Jarvis Landry, and he saw my article on Jarvis Landry, and I was quoted in his book about my evaluations of Jarvis Landry and about being the best version of yourself, because then that author started doing more research on Jarvis Landry, and I was interviewed about Jarvis Landry, which is like the coolest thing, about a children's book on how to be better students. It was cool. It was really cool. So Jarvis, you guys know how important that man is to me. Got one of his cards right here. Love me some Jarvis Landry. Here it says, "Congrats, Big Daddy." Gross. That's the first and only time. Oh, you know what's interesting, Max? I'm glad you brought up UCLA all over again. So, no, we're going to beat Florida State next year, but I'm glad you brought this up, right? It's so interesting to me how much a name matters, right? Like, I'm not a big name, right? Not a big name. But Chip Kelly is a big name, right? We think Chip Kelly, you automatically think football genius, first ever college football playoff. He was in it, right? Marcus Mariota, whatever. When you think Chip Kelly, you automatically think brilliance and amazement, and he's awesome. Chip Kelly's been awful at UCLA. This was supposed to be their year. We made them look like the freaking Mike Martz Rams when we played them. If we had just a little bit of variety on defense, probably win that game, right? Kayshawn probably finds a way to get that W for us, right? So I don't get it. I don't get why anybody would want Chip Kelly to be. Don't you think Chip Kelly's just burnt out? What desire would he want to go back to Oregon? He's not good. He's not good. Well, tell Shaq to come on. RBOLDL, tight end, safety, DB, and coach. That's it. Yep. Wide receiver, linebacker. I think we're fine at receiver. Linebacker, yes, definitely. Definitely linebacker. It might be the biggest. Unless, Greg Penn kind of looks like a dog, though. All the women are independent. Throw your hands up at me. All the honeys making money. Oh, Terrence Welsh is going to get number 1 next year? That's huge for recruiting. Elias Ricks leaves, but that number 1 uniform is huge. Let's see. That's a good question, Max, about Mike Jones, right? Bryce Young did win the Heisman. Look at that. It's kind of cool. Like Bill Russell is auctioning all his memorabilia off. And he's giving it all to Kobe's foundation. That's really cool. Who? I don't know. I think Mike Jones can still get drafted next year, right? Tony. Okay, so I read this quote here. Now, I still wouldn't have seen it, Max, because this quote still blows my mind. So Bryce Young says, I've always been ruled out and kind of doubted. For me, it's always been about not really proving them wrong, but proving to myself what I can accomplish. Okay. No, I promise you, I'm just blown away, right? So Bryce Young says, I've always been ruled out and kind of doubted. Okay. He was a quarterback for one of the top 5 high school programs in the country. Okay. Where Mark Sanchez and all these great quarterbacks have played. And he was the number 1 5-star recruit quarterback coming out and the starting quarterback for Alabama year 2 in his progression. No one's ever doubted him. He's never been ruled out. Not a single person has ever said, well, I think that 5-star quarterback at Alabama is going to really struggle. It just blows my mind, right? I guess you just kind of have to tell yourself that you're not great, right? That people count you out. And I get it. I guess maybe he heard some things about his size. Oh, did I fall asleep last year during one of these? We go late. Max, you're in every live stream from start to finish. I would believe you. 281-330. I think it was a number 2. I don't remember who was number 1. 2019. Johnny with the generous super chat. So we're going to keep this thing going. Thank you for the Venmo, Johnny. It's that rat poison, baby. I love it. Let's check the poll question here. The poll question results. I'd love to, Jared. I used to go to the Senior Bowl every year. You want to know what's funny? So the last senior, I think this was the last Senior Bowl I went to, was in 2012. Okay. And the Senior Bowl was actually 2011. It was a 2011 college football season, but it was in 2012, right? So, Abby, welcome to the channel. Ryan Nielsen, I think that ship has sailed. Jim Leonard, I'd be interested in. Tom Herman, I'd also be interested in. Senior Bowl invites have already been announced. Neil Farrell. Ed Ingram. But at the Senior Bowl, and Johnny 5, you get to pick the next comment. So what was very interesting was there was a huge mob surrounding Kellen Moore at the Senior Bowl. And I didn't go for the week of the Senior Bowl. I only went the day of the game, right? And what was very interesting was there was another quarterback there who wasn't surrounded by anyone. I talked to him for a little bit, didn't interview him, just talked to him. And it was Russell Wilson, right? Everybody was surrounding Kellen Moore, and Russell Wilson was standing right there. It was very interesting. LSU Odyssey. Well, what about LSU Odyssey? Lon. The homie Lon. Lon's a good dude, man. No, I didn't see your comment. He has said that, though. But I think the right opportunity would interest him. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people got the Lincoln Riley thing wrong, reporting that it was a done deal. You move on, right? But yeah, that was bad. Saying it was a done deal. Journalists make mistakes, right? Porting that Mike Dimbrock, that would make sense, right? Because of the Kelly ties. So yeah, it would make sense. And that would probably be the odds-on favorite who it would be. We got some Tom Herman haters in here. He had one quarterback at Texas, Sam Ehlinger. Okay, so I'll touch on this just for a little bit. Okay. So look, I went to journalism school. Okay. And you know how much I think about that? Not that much. I'm a proud Manship School graduate, but they teach you how to report on stories, right? Got to have a source and a second source, right? The thing about sports stories, if you're trying to build a website based off of sources and scoops, it's really hard. It takes years of gathering the right types of sources. And the likelihood that you're going to be the next Shams or the next Woj or the next Pete Thamel is very unlikely, right? Because they've been working their whole lives to be those types of people in their sport. It's hard, right? So there were two reporters who are younger who messed up on the Lincoln Riley story, right? But in the grand scheme of things, if you do get something right, well, you got to get a lot of stuff right for people to, respect your information. And Lon has also gotten a lot of stuff right. But yeah, I mean, the Lincoln Riley thing was just wild. The whole thing was just wild, right? So yeah, but I like Lon personally. He's a super nice dude, right? Dan Mullen OC, Will Muschamp DC. Chris, I would stay away from Muschamp as a DC. I mean, he's been coaching special teams at Georgia. And I would just stay away. I would. You're basically hiring a Bo Pelini type of situation yet again. So yeah. Well, all right, guys. We'll keep this thing going if we keep getting super chats. If not, in the next 5-ish minutes, I'm going to answer as many questions as I possibly can. Oh, we got some Griffin Zion chat. The Zion stuff. Big say so. Was that? What is this? Hey, sister. I'll never understand the Zion thing. I won't. I just won't. And there's so many people that have lost money on their cards. It's not even funny. Like, it's really not. There's been people that have lost a lot. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands. Zachary, what's good? Michael Penix Jr. confirmed. Kidding. That he did. Zion is a little overrated. Let's go as quickly as we can. Honestly, say for DC, let Jones have this year. I'm down. Already on contract. Let's give it a shot. I got a source called the internet. Well, there you go. Mac Daddy Donk. Still can't get over that name. I know, Big Daddy, but after 2 hours, we talk about whatever, so it's all good. It's a good question. Kevin Wilson from OSU for OC. I'm about it. I love the vertical passing game. I like Ohio State's offense. I love it. Yeah, Lou, if you want more on that, our last live stream, that was the first super chat. So about like 10 minutes or so in, I talked a little about Wilson, but I'll go ahead and say a little bit more about him now. The thing, though, is you do wonder how much of the play calling has been him, how much of the play calling has been Ryan Day, right? So, but yes, I love Ohio State's offense. I love everything about it. I really do. That's true, Seth, but I mean, it's not good for season ticket sales, I'll tell you that. He's got to play some. Like, you don't want to play it. You don't want a full year of someone just shutting it down, right? Especially when we were misled about being ready for day one. right? It's different if the Pelicans were the Lakers or the Celtics, and the season tickets are worth it either way. But the Pelicans aren't that level of a brand, right? Zion was the one who really pushed those season tickets. It's not real, Zachary. Even if it was, don't stress yourself out over it. It's not worth it. So yeah. Well, all right, guys, this has been a fun one. Don't forget our next live stream, unless we get a super duper breaking news story. Like if we get an OC or a DC hire, we'll go live tomorrow, or potentially Monday. But our next live stream more than likely will be on Tuesday. Okay. So it does remind you of Embiid, though. It really does. But yes, a lot of this is on Zion and his immaturity as well, right? There's so much power in the NBA around the superstar that you kind of just need the superstar to be responsible, right? That is true. We should go live on Wednesday for early signing day. And a live chat would be a little bit better. So we might go live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll see. So, guys, this was a lot of fun. I really do appreciate it. As always, our top super chatters, Johnny, Jared, Robert, Chillmonger was very generous. Max is always stepping up for us. Brian and Annie, first time super chatters, just off the top of my head, if I missed your name. Once again, my brain is fried. And I've not seen my lovely girlfriend all day because she went on her road trip today. So yeah. No, thank you guys. It is. No, actually, I do need to say something really quickly. Someone's already ordered booger bands for the next batch that's currently in transit. So let me go ahead and get this. Okay, here we go. So Jordan Williams, I need you to shoot me a message on Instagram or Twitter at Carter the Power, or shoot me an email at powerhourlsu@gmail.com so I can get your booger bands to you whenever they get here. And tonight, we are going to eat that calzone. Let's go.